Since we're going to be studying reputation in detail this month, it makes sense to define the term, at least as it relates to corporations. It seems like it would be easy to define reputation, but if you review the suggested readings for this week, then you'll see that many people define corporate reputation differently. Therefore, experts like the authors of your first suggested reading for this week have decided to look at corporate reputation as both a specific definition and also a specific construct. The construct shows that a corporate reputation is really the result of a corporation's identity and people's images or impressions of the company. But before we go any further, let's break down those ideas of corporate identity and image. A company's identity is made up of its defining attributes, such as its people, products, and services. This identity is created and shaped by the company itself. In that sense, the identity is the underlying core or basic character of the corporation. While a company cannot always control everything that shapes its reputation, it can create and control its own identity. That's because a company's identity isn't determined by the company's customers, vendors, or anybody else, except the company itself. So, how, may you ask, can a company shape its own identity? Well, companies need to create an identity for themselves that is authentic and that will resonate with their constituencies. So, to do that, they create systems of beliefs and core values that they prioritize. A key part of that company identity is influenced by the culture the company develops. These core values, beliefs, and cultures can really separate one company from another. For example, think about the core values of Walmart, then compare that to the core values of Neiman Marcus. Do you think that those two companies have the same core values? Even though they're both in the retail business, it's a safe bet to say that their core values are very different from each other. Walmart is known for its affordability for all customers, whereas Neiman Marcus is known for sparing no expense to give customers luxury items. These companies, therefore, have two extremely different core values, and neither value is any better or worse than the other. The important thing is simply that each company's vision is authentic and actually represents the company. Keep in mind, though, that how a company sees itself isn't necessarily how the public or the customers see the company. For example, 7-Eleven's mission statement says that the company wants to be, quote, the best retailer of convenience and wants to have the freshest food available, end quote, which probably isn't exactly what you think of when you think of 7-Eleven. But this is a good way to see a large discrepancy that can arise between a company's identity and its image. A corporate image is different from the identity. The image is actually based on the perspective of a constituent group. Image, unlike identity, cannot be controlled or determined by the company. A company can try to influence its image through the messages it conveys to each of its constituent groups, but ultimately the company can't control that image. Put simply, the image is how the constituent groups perceive the company. Of course, each company can have multiple images because it can have multiple constituent groups. For example, Apple Computers has customers, vendors, investors, employees, and media contacts, all of whom may have different images of the tech giant. Customers will likely base their determination of the company's image on their own personal experiences with Apple devices, maybe even whether they like Apple's advertisements. But the media will have its own definition of the company's image, which can influence how it reports on the company to the general public. And since each constituent group can have a different image of the company, a company can have lots of different corporate images. Now, it's those images combined with a company's own identity that constitute its reputation. So please keep in mind that the reputation is the sum of a company's images and its identity. Now, with that said, for you math nerds out there, I also want you to keep in mind that just because the sum of your image and your identity creates your reputation, that doesn't mean that your image and your reputation are the same thing. Okay, so please do keep in mind the difference between the two. Your image reflects a perception other people have of your business at any given point in time. In contrast, reputation is built up over time. So it's important to really make that distinction. I know that can be difficult to understand, so if you have any questions, then please feel free to let me know. But if you feel comfortable with the differences between corporate identities, images, and reputations, then please go ahead and move on to the next lesson for this week. Thank you.